Okay, so I'm going to show you what I did with, luckily, you had both my intervention kiddos. You had my writing and my reading. So we'll start with Maya because she was student A. The first thing I did with her was I did this measuring attitude towards reading. It's a motivate that thing, like Brittany's. I made you a copy of. So,
Awesome.
This like tells you about the screener.
Okay.
So that tells you about the screener, and this is Maya's actual screener. So, as you can see, like pre and post. So it kind of like goes with. She has a little bit better attitude towards reading than. So if she has free time at home, she is okay with reading, but that's not like the first thing that she would do. But she's not not a fan of academic reading. So if you go all the way to the end, so I had to do this recreational reading and academic reading. And she has a much better attitude and motivation for recreational than academic. And then the same with her post-test. It was actually, I remember right, she still has a higher motivation for recreational, but I think it actually went down some. I was like, no. But when we did the reading, she seemed fine with it.
Right.
And same with Brittany. Let me show you the test that we did. So the next one we did was called a Yawp Singer phoneme segmentation. So that tells you about the Yawp Singer, and basically it's a phoneme segmentation. So it's like being able to say, okay, dog, say the, d, g. Can they do that? And so Maya had got 21 out of 22. She's phonemically aware. So grew, she just went g-oo. Like she didn't put the R. But then on her post one, she did all of them.
That's good.
Correct. So that was an increase. And then the next thing you know, you have seen. This is your copy. I'm sorry, I didn't give that to you. Okay. The next thing that we did was the words their way. You've done that. So this was her pre, and so I showed her in the early within word pattern. So we did this game right here. We concentrated on long A words. So basically we rolled the dice, moved our thing, and we had to say another word that had a long A sound that was spelled this way.
Oh.
So, and I let them use the other words that were on here,
right,
but she had to make sure, I said, and every once in a while I challenge them, like, well, try to think of one that is not on here. So just to try to get her, because she's kind of got the A consonant E and the I consonant E. It was the OA, so I concentrated on just the different long A's to do with her. So that's what we did. So then when I did her post-test, after doing that, she didn't increase that much, but she did go up, So this was all the same. And then what we practiced on stayed the same. Yay. But then other vowels, she went from... She went from 2 out of 7 to 5 out of 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And inflected endings, she went from 1 out of 5 to 2 out of 5.
Okay.
So then 2 and 1. So the rest were the same. So she made this little teeny.
That's awesome, though.
And so it was just crazy. And I think it was kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like any given day.
Right. The same thing with how they feel about it.
Yeah. So that's your copy.
Thank you.
Then I did this Bader test where you have them. I think it's probably, I didn't do a lot of DRA, because I was doing math at the time.
Right.
But I get the impression it's kind of like that. You had them read word lists, and to determine where you would start them in a reading passage. So her I started her at 4th because she's 4th grade.
Right.
And, once they missed 4, I went down to the 3rd grade. Well, she missed 3, so then I bumped her down to the 2. Mm-hmm. And she got all of them correct.
Okay.
So I started her at a 2nd grade passage, and then, went up. Well, when I did her passages, it's the second page. If I did her second grade one, she still made 8 errors, and you couldn't miss more than 8. It was 8 or fewer, but I'm like, gosh, and she 79 words a minute, but she had 8 errors, and so I thought, so I went down to a 1st grade, and she still made 3 errors and 84 words a minute. So then I went to the 3rd grade just to see 16 errors. So like this should have been her instructional.
Right.
4th grade should have been her frustrational.
Right.
3rd grade should have been her instructional. 2nd grade should have been her independent, but it all backed up. 1st was more her independent. 2nd was more her instructional, and 3rd was her frustrational. So that was at the beginning. So then we did our intervention, and I did her word list, and I started with the 4th. Well, she got 4 of them wrong, but I went down to the 3rd, and she got all of them right.
Oh, wow.
And the 2nd, she got all of them right. So then I thought, I'm going to go. So I went to the 5th grade one just to see if, 4 was the cutoff, but maybe she would only, she couldn't do that. But then when we did the passages, I had her read, and I can't remember I think I started with the 3rd grade, but 1st grade, I had her read a 1st grade one again, 1 error, and a minute 38. No, I didn't even calculate that. 2nd grade, 2 errors.
Oh, that's bad.
And then 3rd grade, which remember was her frustrational, is now instructional.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
She only got 6 errors, so that was the one she had 16 errors and 79 words a minute. And I even did a 4th grade. It was frustrational, however, borderline, because it's 9 errors, which 8 errors is the cutoff.
And she did 16, right, the first time or something?
4th grade, the first time was... Oh, I didn't even have her do a 4th grade.
Right, it was 3rd.
3rd grade was 16 errors.
Right.
So she did a 4th grade passage. It was still considered frustrational because it's supposed to be 8 errors or less. But she only made 9 errors at 76 words a minute.
That's awesome.
So it's still frustrational, but and she's really good at telling me about what she read.
Right.
Now, I'm sure like major comprehension questions like they have to do at STAR might be a little bit different, but just kind of basically telling you what she read, she can remember that. So I was pretty pleased.
That's awesome.
With that. And so this is what it's called, reading together. So basically what we did was I think in reality what it says is supposed to be like short passages, kind of deal where you both have the copy of it and you read it literally together. Like like when you sing and you try to keep up with it, you start just a little bit behind. Well, that's kind of what it is. So she's chasing you as you're reading. So I started out with a passage and she was like, this is boring. Yeah. So she likes books that are kind of spooky, not horror, but kind of ghosty kind of stuff. So I thought, well, and what her level was, I went and got a Magic Tree House, one about, and it was Halloween-ish, so that All Hallows Eve.
Right.
And I had a copy and Miss Kelly had a copy. So we sat side by side and read that book, and she would be like, when she could tell things were happening. So we read that one. We read the whole book, and then we've started another book. And really, my intervention has stopped, but she wants to keep coming so we can finish that book.
Oh.
Yeah. So that I thought that so
Yeah.
Miss No Motivation.
Yes.
Of course, it is more recreational.
Right.
It's not academic, but
Good one story.
yeah. So anyway, I liked it. And it's easy. I didn't have to spend any money. I mean, I just have 2 copies of something. I also copied. She likes Cody Johnson, so I tried to find lyrics to the song that were age appropriate.
Right. His aren't too bad.
And his aren't too bad. So we found, and so that's kind of a poetry. And one was like, I got a diamond in my pocket, and the song goes on. And I'm like, do you understand what he's saying? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, no. And I'm like, okay, think about it. I'm like, he's all nervous. He's in love, and he's got a diamond in his pocket.
Yes.
And she goes, oh, he's going to ask her to marry him. And I said, yes. So anyway, this tells about the reading together that we did. And I also did just a read it. And that was another thing that we did with the book. I read aloud, and then we read it together. So when we did read aloud stuff, and even when we did it together, we played these book chat games. So I made you a copy of those.
Thank you.
I made a copy of that too. So, and you can have this too.
Thank you.
And you can even have the pieces. Oh, and here's another book chat thing that we did. You can have that too.
Thank you.
All right. So that is Maya.